That was adorable. That was a great way to start the class.
I
How
always need April too. I told her, especially in singing, and I told her she has to always go first. So,
well, it's not singing. We're talking about ESL. Specifically,
okay.
it's an English class right now. So, I know this is the first time that I am actually streaming an English. Well, it's not the first time. It's just actually been a very long while, to be honest with you. Okay. So, good morning, guys. Hi. So today we are going to be talking about the different types of English, specifically with the most common two. It's American English and English, or what Americans would know as British English or UK English. And and I've had in the past with ESL students, they're confused of which one they should take. Honestly, it comes, and this is my professional opinion, it's going to be based on if you are planning to move to that particular country, right? So if you're planning to live in an area in the UK, I would suggest to learn English. If you're planning to move somewhere in the States, then I would suggest to learn American English. But then, what is the difference between the two? So that's what this lesson is going to be about, is to help ESL learners understand and recognize the main differences between American and UK English, which is just English, to be honest, because, well, the UK was first in that language. Okay, so let's start off with a bit of history. Okay, the English language originally was spoken during the medieval times in England. And fair to say it has undergone significant changes over the centuries. Okay? With speaking about English and coming to semantics when it comes to even pronunciation, words that we don't use it or they don't use anymore. Now, of course, with the colonization of America, American English, or well, English, took a new turn, evolving differently in the United States. And that's why we see these variations. Now, please note that the US and UK are not the only countries that speak English. There are other variations of English that exist. The English spoken in Australia, the English spoken in Canada, amongst other countries. Now, the most noticeable differences lies in vocabulary. You would think it would be the pronunciation, but we'll get to that. But the biggest one will have to be the pronunciation, which is crazy to think. Okay, for an example, trash. Trash is known as rubbish in England or in the UK. Another example, sneakers, right? Well, people in the UK, they're when learning English, sneakers are trainers. If you're craving chips in the UK, you get what we call in America fries. Because chips are crisps in the UK. A truck is a lorry. So there's these massive differences in the vocabulary. Now, does the word truck exist in English? Absolutely. But depending on the type of English you are learning, what they use, what they use, what they use more commonly is going to be different. So while people in the UK calls a truck lorry, here in the US, we're going to I was
Bless you.
waiting for that. Um, well,
Bless you.
here, the most common word will be truck. Yes, what's your question?
I said bless you.
Oh, thank you.
And I have a question. Yes, I have a question. Me and Jasmine, we fight over cookie to biscuit. She says a cookie is a biscuit. That's not.
Oh, that is the ultimate common like debate, and that's something you do not want to go on with people in the UK. So, yes, cookies in English are known as biscuits. Now, biscuits, as in America, we know that it's slightly different. It's a fluffy, rich, buttery pastry that is, in ways for comparison, is what a scone is for them, except ours is much fluffier. And, well, at least I don't eat a biscuit with coffee. For me, the acidic is too high. But in English, biscuits are what we call as cookies. So a chocolate chip cookie will be a chocolate chip biscuit. Now, which one is right? For America, we're right. For the UK, they're right. We just got to respect. We're from different parts of the world. Either way, the biscuits are delicious, whether they're the buttery, fluffy, layered deliciousness that you find in the South, and the chocolate chip biscuit. They're all delicious. So I hope that answers your question. If it's delicious, who cares?
Yes, it does. But I told her a biscuit is like you go to McDonald's or any place, any breakfast place, and get a hot biscuit.
Yeah, it's absolutely different, but they're both equally delicious. So I can't it's going to be a dilemma forever. In my opinion, no one is essentially right. It's just their way of calling what it is.
Okay.
So we just got to respect. That is all. And just know, again, equally delicious. Um, Now, there's also some spelling differences. Oh, if you guys give me a second, I will actually demonstrate this. So there is a book that I'm actually reading. I'm actually reading, like I've never read. It's called Ali Abdaal Feel Good Productivity. Now, he is a doctor that was born in the UK. He studied at Cambridge. And I will notice different spellings that if it was in the US, we would be marked wrong. So, for an example, let me go ahead and do a screen share here. Please give me 1 second. I'm going to do a share screen. Please hold. No, where is... No, not the status bar. Floating. Whiteboard Zoom. Okay. Now you're going to see double of this, which is okay. But I do want people to see this. So for an example, Words, well, not all, but a lot of the words that end in OR in English, in the UK, those words and in the US, in the UK, those words will often be spelled with OUR. So that's why, guys, you may see two different spellings of color. Sometimes you see COLOR and COLOUR, because one is American spelling and the other is the spelling in the UK.
That makes sense. I was like,
So you guys are not going crazy. Another one. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Sorry about that. So, okay. Another example here. Words that end in ZE or Z. I totally meant to do what I did. In ZE, in the US, in the UK, those words will often be spelled with SE. For an example, realize. We will spell this word. Okay, I'm going to make another little text box here. That's a spelling in the US, but in the UK it will be spelled as this, with an SE. Now, as I am reading this book, although it's a great and fantastic book, highly recommend. It does throw me off as an American English speaker. All right, because for me, my brain is like, that's spelled wrong, but my mind, wait, the author, he's British. This is how they spell in the UK. So when it comes to literature, if you have a student, say, let's say you have a kid in ELA at school. So this is not only for ESL learners per se, but students that are taking ELA here in the US, they're going to have questions about that. So for my teachers out there, please don't say, oh, that's a misspelling. No, it's just see where the author is from, okay? Please and thank you. And then lastly, pronunciation differences. Okay, there are obvious pronunciation differences, especially when it comes to the stresses on syllables and the vowel sounds. So, the word tomato. April, how do you say tomato?
Tomato.
Kim, how do you say tomato?
Tomato had to take a shower and eat lunch, so
Oh, all
I'm gonna
right.
be listening.
Okay. How about you, Michelle? How do you say tomato?
Tomato?
Tomato. So we say tomato, right? We have a D rather than a T. Tomato. Now, of
Mhm.
course, amongst the different dialects that we have here in the US, you may encounter tomato, which I you do you. I wasn't grown up with tomato, but it's tomato. The T is a D, and it has like an O, a very long O sound. And for standard American pronunciation is tomato. But let's go ahead and talk about the English pronunciation. Tomato. It has, rather than tomato, we have tomato. Tomato. And God, I wish Jasmine was here. She is one of my students who's actually in England, and OMG.
I'm trying to get her to come.
Okay. I I I'm not gonna lie. I secretly want this culture war happening. So we can all learn, right?
I'm trying to get her to come because I told her she has to come to class now. It's fun.
It's 6:25 p.m. She's up.
Yeah.
Or Serena too. Serena would love this class if she's available. So tomato versus tomato. Another thing of the inflection is the inflection. It's the opposite of American English. So whenever we ask a question, the inflection goes up. So if I wanted to ask how you were, I'll be like, "Oh, hey, April, how are you?" You, right? The inflection on the you went up, right? How are you? But if I was speaking in English, or in this case, I'll pay, "Oh, how are you?" The inflection goes down. How are you? And whenever they're making a statement, the inflection goes up. So if I want to say, "I like this book," well, the inflection stood the same. I like this book. Well, more to the lower. I like this book. The inflection went down because I'm saying a statement. I like this book. But in I'll pay, "Oh, I like this book." Book. The inflection goes up. Words like controversy. Okay, the stresses on the syllables. So American English, we'll say words like controversy. Controversy. We enunciate each syllable. Controversy. It's like mushed together. Or, oh, what's that word? Oh my goodness. I completely brain farted on that word. I'll probably think of it later, but they will chop off certain syllables too, which is very common when you do a comparison between American English and UK English. Any questions so far?
No, it's fun.
It's fun? Yay, I'm glad that you guys think it's fun. Yee. Okay, now, idioms. God, all right. I love UK idioms. I over English, like over American English idioms, because for me they're just so purely fun. So for an example, if I wanted to say, dude, you're rude, like you're cheeky. Cheeky. It's not saying you're very cheeky. You have a big cheeks. No, I'm calling you rude. Or and Bob's your uncle. Okay, that was bad. Wow. Okay. Let me do that again. Bleh. Please hold. Give me a second. No, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. That the connection. No, it's not gonna work. I don't know what that accent wants. I can do it as a voice actor. I should do it. I know how to do it. It's not working this morning. No, but Bob's your uncle is a UK English. It's an English idiom meaning, and there you have it. But it sounds weird for us when you say, "Up and Bob's your uncle." Like my uncle's not Bob. And you'll hear glimpses of different idioms that are being said. And some can translate to American English, and some, not so much. So let's take a look at some English idioms, shall we?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So, chuffed to bits. Wow, I can't, the pronunciation here. Chuffed to bits. It's like, oh, I'm chuffed to bits about how charming this English expression is. Means I'm very pleased about how charming this English expression is. So chuffed to bits is very pleased. Another one is brass monkeys. It's brass monkeys out here today. Which means it's very cold out today. Or have a gander. How many guys have heard that phrase before? Have a gander. You'll hear it
Movies.
in movies. Yes. I know specifically. I hear have a gander mainly in children films. It's not limited to, but that's from like where I hear it the most in my current environment.
Yeah.
But have a gander means to take a look. All right. Another one. I love this one. Chock-a-block. I learned this one recently because of the immaturity in me. Chock-a-block. Chock-a-block means, like, for an example, like this area is chock-a-block. It's crammed full, or it's crowded. And a chock-a-block often refers to like a full street or a full shop. Or this one, but we say this a little. This comes actually from English. So some idioms that we adopt here in the US came from England. How many of you guys ever heard the expression, not my cup of tea?
I have.
Right? I know I say that all the time. Especially when Michelle shares about her Monster drinks. My cup of tea.
Yes, and hot pink and blue bubble gum slushies. For in vocal classes, I told the students, and you said, "Do not listen to her."
Yeah.
You said no.
Yeah, don't listen. Don't.
It's
No.
sweet though. It is sweet and sugary and very
Which you should
good.
not take during singing lessons.
I'm sorry.
Call about dehydration.
Oh, that's why it makes it dry. Okay, the vocal. Yeah, I haven't drunk water in 2 weeks. It's all been sugary drinks. I need to drink. I have not had one sip of water. I swear I
That's
haven't.
bad.
Oh gosh, you took it off the camera. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the truth though. I forget because
Do you not have access to clean water, my dear? Do we need to send you some water?
Oh no.
Do we need to
I've
do a
got access.
subscription service to make
I've
sure?
got plenty.
I got water. I don't know. I got so addicted to the sugar. But I literally not one sip. I swear, I'm not just saying this. I not one sip, and how I think about it.
You know, I don't know what makes me worse. I don't.
It's all been.
All right,
I
that's
need
it.
to
You,
get water.
young lady, needs to do a full-on detox. That amount of sugar is unhealthy, and I'm saying this because I care. No more. Take at
Is that
least
why I
a
wake up
week
at, like-
off to
I wake
start
up in
with,
the middle
and
of the
just
night,
water.
like craving sugar because I drink it all day.
Then eat an apple, or an orange,
Okay.
or a tomato,
Oh, okay.
because technically tomato is a fruit, and it does have
I was
natural sugars. So
I was about to eat a chocolate egg, but okay. Chocolate egg. I was. I'll send you a picture of it.
I don't need it. Ay, Dios mío, este
Okay.
patoja que...
I'm sorry.
Ay, que Dios
I'll
le
drink
ayuda.
water. I will
Que Dios
drink
le
water.
ayuda.
I'll try to.
A la gran puchica.
I will.
You worry me, child.
I know in my next package, if you ever send one, you're going to send a bottle of water.
Oh, it's not going to be a no. I am going to do a subscription service and make sure you get like those 10-gallon water jugs.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I was being honest.
I appreciate your honesty. We
Okay.
we need to... Any doctors?
Hey,
Any doctors
you
watching
love
this?
me. You love me though still.
I do love
do.
you. Yes. This is very, very true. Nonetheless, I
I'm back.
worry. Who's Topher?
What?
Hello. Welcome, Topher.
Oh, I know who that is. I think. M?
Hi, M.
Yeah, M. I'll message you later.
Okay. Oh, hola, ¿qué tal? All right, I am glad that you did not hear me say a series
She was
of Spanish slang.
She was lecturing me to drink water. Yeah, I gotta drink water.
Yes, you gotta drink water. No, drink it every day, not every 2 weeks. Hydration is key to Spanish. You know what? Dare I say, hydration, my opinion, is the key to, I don't know, life? All right. So we're talking about talking about the differences between American English, and we're also talking about English spoken in the UK. So since you came, let's do a quick recap. So we talked about that the English language was originally spoken in medieval England. And of course it has... got it. Lost train of thought. Yes. So the English language was originally spoken in the medieval times in England, and it has gone through significant changes over the centuries. Especially with the colonization of America, English took a turn, and it evolved much differently here in the US. And today, there are two primary forms, American English and UK and English. Now, there are other countries that have their own variations of English. Other popular examples of those would be Australia, English spoken in Australia, English spoken in Canada, amongst other countries. It's not just limited to those other two that I just mentioned. Now, the primary differences between these two dialects of English would be vocabulary differences. As Michelle pointed out, cookie and biscuit. Cookie is just a chocolate chip cookie. It's a sweet, delightful dessert. But the cookie, what's a cookie for us? It's a biscuit for them. And a biscuit for us is those big, fluffy, layered, buttery goodness in bread form. And top it off with gravy. Que rico. Another example of another difference that you will find are spelling differences. We talked about how, for an example, in English, like the word color, it ends in OR. Often than not, when spelling words in OR using UK spelling, OR words will be spelt with an OUR ending. And then we talked about the pronunciation differences. We talked about the different vowel sounds. The example that we used was tomato, right? Tomato with a D sound. Rather, tomato for English spoken in the UK. Then we were just going over some cultural references and idioms. And we were having fun, learning about chock-a-block. And yes, the maturity wants me to go, hee 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 hee. Chock-a-block means like a crammed, like it's an area, like a street or a shop that's like fully crowded. Also, what's that word? Cheeky, which means rude. Or chuffed to bits, which means very pleased. And a good handful actually, of the idioms may not literally translate or may not have an American English equivalent to translate to, which is okay. And that's actually a common problem that you find in just languages in general. So some UK idioms that you may know already would be not my cup of tea, which would be which translates to it's not my favorite thing, it's not my thing. Or put a sock in it. Yeah, that's a British idiom. Put a sock in it. Be quiet. Another one that we would use, well, now I'm actually hesitating because gobsmacked. I do hear some people using the word gobsmacked, and they're not quote unquote British, but it is uncommonly used in the US, but it comes from the UK. So there are some idioms that we do say here that originated from there, especially from those in the East Coast. Whew. Actually, believe it or not, our pronunciation, our dialect up in the East Coast, especially states like New York and Massachusetts, and amongst like the original 13 colonies, our dialect is actually based on based on English. That's why we don't really pronounce our R's. We say quarter. Park the car. I should say pack the car. But yeah, our A's too also derived from English. All right, guys. Whew. Are there any questions? Is there any part that you guys would like for me to review? Any part that you may be confused? Now, there is no way to, well, I was going to say there's no way, but which one should you choose? American English or English? Like, or which is better? Honestly, no one, like, I find it to be the same because they have their own unique qualities. Honestly, if you're having difficulties to choose one of them, it's going to be based on your environment, the country you live in, your work environment, etc. So it's going to be based on your current environment, and that's going to help you choose which English you should learn. Now, for those studying American English, just please note that there's going to be vocabulary and spelling changes in comparison to the UK. And if you encounter that, it's not a misspell. Okay? All right, guys, that will conclude this ESL class. I hope you guys found this interesting, and hopefully I will see you in about 15 minutes for singing the basics. I'll see you guys then. Take care, everyone. Adios.